Picture it. There's cocaine and shoulder pads everywhere. Cats the musical has taken Broadway by storm and is still running strong. That's right. You're in the 80s. You go home and turn the TV on. There's a fantasy romance series starring Ron Perlman, Linda Hamilton, and written by none other than George R.R. Martin. What is this show, you must ask? Why, it's Beauty and the Beast. So, for those of you not in the know, there's a show in '87 on CBS called Beauty and the Beast. The show starred Linda Hamilton and Ron Perlman, and it was written and produced by George R.R. Martin. I don't think he wrote the entire thing like by himself, but he definitely was a writer on it. So, woo! What could go wrong? As I said, the show was a fantasy drama on CBS. It ran from 1987 to 1990. It got 3 seasons out of it. The show was incredibly popular at its time, and it was even rated in 2004 and 2007 by TV Guide to be one of the top cult classic shows. I believe it rated number 14 and number 17 respectively. So it still has a pretty solid cult following. I can attest to this because I actually discovered the show in 2007, 2009, that area. I was around 12, 13, and I found it at a used book and video store, the complete 3 seasons on DVD. And I absolutely love Beauty and the Beast stories, retellings, whatever. If it has anything to do with Beauty and the Beast or any semblance to that, I'm down for it. So I immediately got it and binged it in 2 weeks and then binged it again. I think I spent my entire sad teenager summer watching this show, this show's very on brand for me. I enjoyed it so much that I've actually drawn Vincent, the lead. I'll put it right here. Look, I drew that. I actually drew that, and I work as a convention artist. I go to different anime, comic book conventions, horror conventions, whatever, and sell my art. And people lose it when they see this drawing of Vincent. I've actually had women cry as they purchase it, which is insane for a show that old from '87 still having that much of emotional connection with the show. So there's got to be something to it, right? Just to give you a quick rundown of the premise of the show, it stars Linda Hamilton, who plays Catherine, who is mistaken for someone else and is kidnapped, beaten, and left for dead in the middle of Central Park. That's when Vincent, played by Ron Perlman, discovers her and takes her down into his secret underground world of tunnels to nurse her back to health and just take care of her. And of course, while she's down there, she's all bandaged up and speaking to him. And then when she takes the bandages off, surprise, he's a big old monster man. He's a beast. He's got, cat face, or I guess it's a cat. It's a cat. They're going for a lion or something, right? And romance ensues. He does take her up back to the surface eventually, and that's when she has a whole badass arc where she takes self-defense classes and learns karate or whatever. I don't think she learns karate. She just takes self-defense classes. She leaves her cushy job at a law firm and becomes a district attorney, and that's where the main plot ensues. After her near-death experience, her and Vincent have this kind of bond now, and they don't fully understand it. All they know is Vincent can sense when Catherine's in trouble. And you won't believe this, but as a DA, she gets into a lot of trouble. Every episode is her investigating something, and then oh no, she stumbled on a drug ring, and then Vincent has to show up all Manimal style and maul people. Vincent has a body count. The show altogether had 3 seasons, and the 3rd season is when things get really shaky for a multitude of reasons. I guess towards the end of the 2nd season, they decided that they wanted to up the ante more, just try and catch more of a male audience. So they really started to push for more action-y scenes in this romance series. And so that kind of had some people not feeling super great about it. More importantly, for the 3rd season, Linda Hamilton decided not to return as Catherine. She was pregnant and just wasn't feeling it, I guess. I don't know. Either way, she was gone from the show. So what do you do when the main love interest of your romance series doesn't return? Do you recast? Do you just shift to another direction? Which, I mean, I guess they kind of did, because they kill her. They kill her character off. We spend 2 seasons getting all like enthralled with the romance of it all between Catherine and Vincent, and will they, won't they? And just to put it into perspective, from what I recall in season 1 and 2, you don't really even see them kiss. That's how like slow burn this romance is. I think there's one scene in a tunnel where like it kind of fades to them like kissing, but then it fades back to them like in the tunnel. So it's like, did that happen? Did they just want it to happen? Well, apparently it happened, because in season 3, when they kill Catherine off, it's revealed that before they killed her, she had Vincent's baby. And watching this as, again, like a 12, 13-year-old, I was like, when? So I don't know. I guess somewhere off screen things happened, and now Vincent has a little baby. And I'm from what I remember, it's a normal baby. He's not like cat-faced like his manimal daddy. And so most of the 3rd season is Vincent trying to like avenge Catherine's like death on top of like taking care of his son, which is even funnier when, again, you remember that they were trying to make it more action-oriented. So he's like running around going on like a revenge quest, mauling people, and then going home and like taking care of his baby son in the underground world of tunnels that he lives in with a bunch of other people that are running from their own problems. So understandably, the 3rd season is where it ended, and it's like pretty unfortunate that it had to go out on such a like bummer of a last season, because again, people really did love the show. It was very popular, and it just really just kind of like, I guess it just nosedived like first episode, and then just like you just fizzled out as you were just left to watch what was going on. And if that summary didn't really speak to you, if you're still kind of like, oh, I don't know, just look at the promo photos here. Like, look at this. This is the vibe. If you see this and are not down with this, like you're not gonna like the show. I'm sorry. And just to be clear, I think the show is really good. I do recommend it, but it is a little campy. It is a little corny at times. It's very soap opera-y and the drama of it all, and the like angst and just feelings, and it's very much that, but it's still very well written. Again, George R.R. Martin was a writer on this, so there is a good story. There's very good characters. There's just sometimes it gets a little stuck in the mellow drama of it all, but again, it creates a really just fun, good time vibe. It's a good viewing experience. After the show ended, it did continue somewhat in other forms of media. Avon Books actually published 3 novelizations of episodes, so they were just the book versions of the episodes, which tangent, I don't get novelizations of like movies or TV shows, because anytime that I've like read one, I'm like, this was just the episode. I could have just watched the episode. Like, there's never, in my experience, never any like new information gotten from reading the book version. So if you like the show, you can probably skip those 3. Image Pub of New York actually published a book that was just based on the characters and story. So I think it's an original story. Obviously, I haven't read it, but I think they just kind of used the general basis of the world as a jumping off point. But again, I don't know. First Comics also published 2 graphic novels that continued the story, and I actually have one. Ta-da! I actually stumbled on this when I was just looking through a comic book shop. I had no idea that there were comics of the show. So when I saw this, I immediately had to grab it and look at it. Let's see. Whoa. It looks very like on brand. I'll read you the back. Beauty and the Beast. Vincent and Catherine are soulmates. Their love is strong enough to keep them together eternally, in this world or any other. Now they are finding that the greatest challenge to the bond is also the ultimate test of their love, and that sometimes the brightest light can only be reached by the darkest, most difficult path. journey with them through the twilight of souls. So yeah, dramatic. I did flip through it. I haven't like hardcore read through it. I've really just kind of perused. But from what I can tell, it's Vincent trying to get over Catherine's death. And he goes on what looks like a drug-fueled trip to like the in-between. And he kind of connects with her soul and gets like some closure in her death. And if you think that like I must just be misinterpreting or like exaggerating, like, I don't know, you tell me what's going on here. But that's those comics. There was also another comic book series, Innovation Publishing made a 6-part miniseries based on it. And I don't know what they're about, but these are the covers. What's going on? You know which one I'm asking about. What's going on with that one? What's happening? I'd love to read them, actually. I don't know how hard it is to track these down, but anyway, as I said before, the show was very popular. People really connected with it and the romance and like fantasy and whimsy or like, I don't know, whatever of it all. And so there was naturally a very dedicated fandom. And I guess this is like 87, it ended in the 90s. So this is like very early internet. You couldn't just get on and be like, I like this thing. Do you like this thing? And someone else being like, I love this thing. You talk about it. Like that wasn't happening. But apparently fans of the show called themselves helpers, which in context to the show, again, there's that like underground city. So if you're someone who lives above ground, but you're like a friend to the underground people, then you're a helper. So they were helpers. Just tangentially, when I first watched this when I was like 12, I really loved it. So like any like kid, I just kind of like Googled the thing that I liked to see like what people were saying about it or what I could find about it. And at the time, when I Googled Beauty and the Beast 1987, there was a Facebook group called Vincent's Virgins, and I like noped out there. I was like, I don't think that's for me. But the photo just had like a bunch of women in their like, so the people who live underground kind of wear like medieval garb. It's like sort of medieval, but also like a little post-apocalyptic. So it was a bunch of women like dressed like they lived in the underground tunnels. And then there is someone who had like the Vincent like prosthetics and the big wig and stuff, like just standing in the middle. So 12-year-old me just sees this like Vincent cosplayer surrounded by like all these like women in their accurate clothing. And I was like, no. And I never looked into it. And I actually like tried to kind of search it just before this video to see like if it was still around, and I couldn't find it, but I didn't like hardcore poke around either. But yes, the fans are very dedicated. And I won't talk about this for too long, but I know there was a lot of merchandise for the show because one time I was at the Iowa State Fair and you can like submit your collection and they'll like judge the collections, and someone had a Beauty and the Beast TV show collection. That was huge. I had no idea they had like this amount of stuff for the show. And so knowing that, I tried to search for old merchandise of it and I just couldn't, I couldn't find any. So I don't really recall what the collection had, but I know there was a good amount of merchandise for this show. So I don't know, take that for whatever. Last but not least, there was a reboot of the show in 2012. It was done by CBS, I believe in America. It aired on CW. I remember seeing a commercial for it, and again, as like a lover of the show, I was like immediately like, nah. Because from what I could tell in the commercial, the Beast, he was a beast in that he was like super strong, and I think he had anger problems, but he still looked like a regular dude. And if he doesn't look like a manimal man, then I'm not down for it. So I didn't watch it. I don't think it lasted very long, so I'm gonna assume it wasn't very good. In summary, I think this is a 80s lost gem. I think more people should watch it. I think you would enjoy it. And it's honestly really fun seeing Linda Hamilton and Ron Perlman when they're like younger. This was like right after Terminator for Linda Hamilton, I believe. Obviously, pre-Hellboy for Ron Perlman. And again, George R.R. Martin wrote for this show. Isn't that just funky? Like, the author of Game of Thrones wrote this very, like, sweet, melodramatic, 80s just romantic fantasy. And that's just great. So what do you think? Is this an 80s hidden gem? Is it something that should just be forgotten? Have you seen it before? Do you want to see it? For the record, I'm actually not sure if you can stream this anywhere. I'm sure if you Google it, you can figure it out really quick. I'm not gonna do that. I'm just gonna go. So it's been real. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time. Bye.